What's up, guys? This is the second episode of the Curran Kaden College Football Podcast. This is our recap of Week 1 and predictions for Week 2. We'll start off with, Alabama. Alabama, Western Kentucky. It was a blowout win. Alabama looked really good. DeBoer's first game as head coach with the departure of Nick Saban. To start from the top, Jalen Milroe looked like what they've wanted Jalen Milroe to look like. 3 touchdowns with his feet, 2 in the air. Just kind of like what they've hyped him up to be, which is a running back who can throw the ball. Looks really good. Ryan Williams, the freshman, looked like the best player in college football for his 2 catches. 2 catches, 79 yards on that each. Can't really say much more. And then, Curran, what'd you think about the Alabama offense?
Alabama offense cooked, obviously. Ryan Williams, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty insane. But yeah, Jalen Milroe looked very good. The offensive line looked very good. Overall, I think it's going to be a good season for them.
Come back to the secondary for Alabama. The secondary had a lot of questions with, losing pretty much their entire secondary. They looked really good. It's tough to tell, obviously, with all these games, except for a few, how the team is actually going to look because they're paid games. But, I don't know. I thought the Bama defense looked really good. There's nothing you can really say holding them to what do you think, Curran?
The secondary played really good, multiple picks off the start. Definitely no lack there, especially from that game, but it's still a question if they're going to be good against good teams, and hopefully we'll see that, I think Week 5 against Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully they'll play their best in that game.
That'll be a great game. Then moving on, Georgia. Speaking of Georgia game recap, it was 6-0 at half, looked kind of bad. Then the second half, they kind of opened up the offense more, and 28 unanswered in the second half. Georgia looks like they've only reloaded, in my opinion. Nate Frazier, the freshman running back, had he was averaging, it was close to 15 yards per carry for close to 200 yards. Carson Beck threw the ball 33 times, completed 25 of his passes with 0 interceptions, and the highest QBR of anybody except for Jackson Dart in Week 1. And then same thing, defense looks just like a Georgia defense, one of the best, if not the best in the country. Basically just looks like Georgia reloaded.
Yeah.
Nothing really to say. Going into Tennessee Tech this week. And then Michigan, first game of the year, a surprisingly close game with Fresno State.
Oh, yeah.
Not close, but for
Michigan standards.
The national champions last year looked like a close game. They didn't look good. They didn't look great. Michigan is a team that's rebuilding. In my opinion, they lost their head coach. They lost
a lot of
quarterback. They lost a lot of players. Surprised that they started, I forget his name, instead of Alex Orji. And then, I don't know, just the defense didn't look great. The offense didn't look great. They couldn't really get anything going until second half.
Yeah.
Didn't look great. 30-10, I think, was the score against Fresno. It was not good. And then last few recaps, Ole Miss obviously looked amazing with Jackson Dart. Probably going to be
800 yards.
Almost 800 yards. It's crazy. Against any team, that's crazy. Not a lot to be said besides Ole Miss looks like a problem. They look like they could beat any of the top teams in the country. Be interesting to see what they do this year. And then Auburn, same way. Auburn looked really good against Alabama A&M. Peyton Thorne looked good. The receiving core looked really good. Auburn looks like they could go out and win 8 games this year easily.
Yeah, definitely.
It's tough to tell early, but best game in Week 1, I think, was USC LSU. Probably the most hyped up game. It lived up to it. It was a really good game. Came down to the wire. I saw LSU. They weren't very happy with their performance. Especially. But I think USC played a really good game. LSU's got a lot to pick up on, especially. They're still LSU. They can still go out and beat anybody. But,
yeah.
Nothing much to be said for week one. Just a bunch of blowout games and a few unnecessarily close games like Colorado and stuff. But going into week two, game of the week is Texas versus Michigan.
Mm-hmm. This could be a good game.
I think so. My prediction this week is, not really a prediction, but Texas looked good in week one. I got to see Arch Manning play a few snaps. Looks like he'll be good once Quinn Ewers leaves. Texas is obviously a great team, and they're going to play great.
Yeah.
Michigan looks like they're slowed down, but who knows? What do you think on this, Curran?
Yeah, I do think Texas is going to win. I feel like Michigan is going to have a bounce-back game. They're just testing the waters with Fresno State. They lost a lot of people. So I think they're going to really lock in for this Texas game. But Texas is still the better team, so I'm going to pick them to win.
I think so, too. It's the first top 10 matchup we have all year. Number 10 Texas, number 3 Texas, number 10 Michigan. I think it could be a really good game, but this will kind of show what the SEC is going to be dealing with Texas, I think. Mm-hmm. This is kind of if Texas plays good here, it could be really a problem for the rest of the SEC because they look great in week one. And, if they come out here and blow out Michigan, then all these SEC teams got a problem. Anyway, what I think will be the game of the week, Colorado versus Nebraska.
Ooh.
Deion Sanders, Colorado did not look good in week one. They made a really good play at the end of the game to win it, but they were also playing a unranked FCS team. And Nebraska looked really, really good in week one. Dylan Raiola, the number one recruit in the country last year, who decommitted from Georgia, went to Nebraska, made the start, and looked like a veteran. He played just like he did in high school, played really well. Forget what his stats were, but he had a good game. It was fun to watch. I think Nebraska, their run game's good. Their defense is always good. I think Nebraska's going to be the dark horse this year, especially with beating some of these ranked teams. I think Nebraska could honestly make a run if they look like they did in week one. What do you think?
Nebraska, I thought they were just going to be middle of the pack again like they usually are, but, this season they really got a chance. I feel like they could probably win their conference. They're lucky they'll win their conference, but we'll just have to see.
They played in a tough conference, though.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, you got to beat.
Was it Big Ten they're in?
Yeah, Big Ten.
Oh, well, Big Ten wasn't good last year, was it?
Just depends on the rest of the Big Ten.
Except for just Michigan and Ohio State.
Everybody's played like this week, everybody except for, Georgia and OSU have really played nobody teams, including Ohio State. Played a nobody team. Ohio State didn't look, they look good. It'll be tough to tell. And then, obviously, we got Bama versus USF, blowout. Georgia versus Tennessee Tech, blowout. I think Tennessee Tech will be a chance to see what UGA can showcase with their team. Since it'll kind of just, we can test the waters a little bit. I want to see more freshmen playing. The UGA, I didn't touch on this. The KJ Bolden, the freshman safety for UGA, looks like one of the best safeties in the country, so I want to see him get to play more. But yeah, that secondary for Georgia is going to be fun to watch this year with Starks and KJ Bolden. But yeah, week two doesn't have great matchups. The best matchup is obviously we've already covered it: Texas versus Michigan.
Ooh, number 14 Tennessee at number 24 NC State.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
At NC State, I still don't see the SEC dropping that.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't see – it could be a good game. I forget the name of the Tennessee quarterback, the dude who's like 6'8", something. He played volleyball, too, or something like that. He looked good. I watched the highlights for the game. Kick and sling it just like what was the name of their quarterback last year? Dude that could throw it like 85 yards in the air. I forgot his name, but Tennessee looks. They're always going to be solid. They're Tennessee. Shout out Darius Copeland, 3 catches for 28 yards. Alumni of the week with 2 first downs. 8.9 yards per reception. Darius. Shout out Darius. Fun to watch in high school. Hopefully he gets to play more. I want to see him kind of play more for Liberty. Liberty looked good, too. And then, yeah, we'll wrap it up with the Heisman Watch.
Heisman Watch. Ooh, before we get to that, fraud alert time.
Fraud alert?
So, on my list for fraud alerts, we have Clemson, LSU, Florida, and then obviously Florida State, but I think they should be taken off because we already know they're there.
I completely forgot to touch on Florida. Florida looked really bad.
Really bad.
Really bad. They looked, Billy Napier, I just don't think is really cut out to be an SEC coach. It looks like a Sun Belt conference. Should probably stay in the Sun Belt. I never thought he was a good fit for. They should have fired him after his first year. He's kind of done the same thing every year. Yeah, not much to be said about Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State is, they're
not good.
You lose to Georgia Tech and Boston College, two teams that have been significantly just middle of the pack in the conference for like the past 10 years.
Not even middle of the pack. Georgia Tech went 1-11 2 years ago.
Dang.
Yeah. You're talking about a team that went 5 and they didn't make a bowl game last year. You're listening to that, and y'all were supposed to make the playoff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then who was the third fraud team you said?
LSU.
LSU. I don't think LSU. It's early to call them a fraud.
But I feel like they were overhyped to win. Like, I think everybody thought they were going to win against USC.
I did, included. I thought they were going to win against LSU. Against USC. Brian Kelly's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. And LSU always can go out there and beat a team like Alabama or Georgia. They have all the talent they need.
It's just not 2019 anymore.
It's not, but LSU, I think they could still pick it back up. Brian Kelly looked really mad after the game. I don't know if you watched the press interviews, slamming on the desk and stuff, but I don't know. I think it's too. Those were two ranked opponents, not like I don't know, not like a freaking Florida State or nothing.
They're just bowl game contenders. That's all they are.
Yeah, basically. Then we got Heisman Watch.
Jackson Dart, number one.
Jackson Dart, number one, obviously. That was pretty clear. These are just based on week one. These aren't the actual Heisman Watch. With slight bias in here.
Yeah, I would say number two is between either Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe.
I like that. Carson Beck didn't really get to show off a ton, considering we did have to play a pretty tough team, but he's still, projected right now, number one draft pick. It just plays like a pro-ready quarterback. Jalen Milroe looked like freaking.
He looked like a phenom. Out there.
He did. If Jalen Milroe can play like that, he's gonna be a problem because he. When you can combine being able to run like a physical running back, he looks like an elite running back if you put him back there, and he can also sling the ball around. He's gonna be a problem. That's hard to defend. And then Dylan Gabriel.
Just because he was the Heisman favorite going into the season, and they won, but not a good game for Oregon though. Only winning by I think 10 against Idaho. Off of, Idaho scored that one trick play touchdown. I thought that was pretty cool, but disappointing game for Oregon, but they still got the win.
Oregon's got a 24-14 Dylan Gabriel, that's why he's probably getting. He's obviously still we haven't seen it. It's only been 1 week, so you can't really say a lot. Jackson Dart, I don't see him throwing for 700 yards against an SEC team. But the week one winners, obviously, or winners this week are probably going to be Jackson Dart and Ole Miss. I was really excited to see that. Alabama looked like a winner this week.
Georgia, Auburn.
The SEC looked good this week. Apart from a few games, you had Vanderbilt going in and beating.
Oh, that Vanderbilt game was kind of good in my opinion. They were up 10 at the end of the first, and then Virginia Tech clawed the way back, and Vanderbilt won in overtime. I thought it was pretty good.
Don't mess with SEC. There's talent everywhere. But most teams in the SEC won their games by blowouts. A&M looked good.
Yeah. Do you think Notre Dame will be this good this season? They're ranked number 5, but
I was about to touch on that. I know
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is always ranked up there, and they never come to show it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but does Alabama have to play Notre Dame this year?
I don't think so.
What SEC team has to play Notre Dame?
Let's
Auburn?
check Notre Dame. Can we check their schedule on here? They play Texas A&M.
At Texas A&M or?
No, they just played at Texas A&M
Oh,
and beat them. Their next, they play USC their last game of the season. They play Florida State, but we already know who's winning. And Louisville's their next best team they play. Oh, and Georgia Tech.
they don't have a conference championship game, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's where they either drop because of that or they either rise a lot because of that.
Yeah, it's just so weird, though, because if you don't have a conference championship game, you get in the SEC. You get in the playoff. It could be obviously TCU did have a conference championship game, but they got blown out because they hadn't played a team like Georgia in the national championship. It's just so weird every year.
Didn't they beat Michigan before that game, though?
They did beat Michigan.
That's so random. They beat Michigan and then got blown out by Georgia.
Yeah, I know what, 65-7. And I don't know. It's just week 1 was cool. Week 2, I hope is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll be back after week 2 going into week 3. That's it. That's all. You got anything, Curran?
Nah, not really anything else. But yeah, shout out Ryan Williams. Bama's going all the way this year.
We'll see.